All right, everyone. Hello and welcome back to ServeNow EDU. My name is Trent Carlisle and I'm back for this month's ServeNow EDU webinar. I am the co-founder of Logical, the company behind ServeNow, ServeManager, and PI Now. Special thanks to Chad Jolly, our lead engineer here, for filling in for me for last month's webinar while I was on vacation. The webinar last month was how the legal industry is embracing the cloud, and it features Jared Correa, who is a law firm practice advisor. He is a former practicing attorney, frequent speaker at events like ABA Tech Show, and he is also the author of Twitter in 1 Hour for Lawyers. So if you haven't watched that webinar yet, make sure you set yourself a reminder. I'll go ahead and let you know what's coming up in May. ServeNow EDU will feature our very own Kelsey Johnson, our marketing manager here at Logical, and she'll talk about setting up your company Facebook page and some strategies to effectively utilize Facebook for your company. We will get to today's extremely interesting topic in just a moment, but I wanted to let you know a few things. The recording of this webinar should be posted online in the next few days. You'll find that on ServeNow.com. Just click on the EDU section on the homepage. You can also view these webinars on YouTube or iTunes. And if you are joining us today, feel free to ask questions along the way. You'll want to use the questions widget in the GoToWebinar control panel. And as I mentioned a moment ago, today's topic is really, really intriguing, and it's being shared with us by a longtime personal friend and friend of our company, Ruth Reynolds. I could probably speak for the next 45 minutes just covering Ruth's career and achievements, but I'll try to summarize it as best as I can. She is the owner and operator of Reynolds Professional Process Service, and it has been a licensed PI for over 20 years and a professional process server for more than 25 years. She is a licensed PI in both North and South Carolina, and she founded the first process serving company in the state of North Carolina. She is the founder and president of the North Carolina Process Servers Association and has served the North Carolina Association of Private Investigators both on their board and as president. Ruth has also served on the board of the National Association of Professional Process Servers. And last year, she received her certification in face reading and body language, which is a 2-year program that has been invaluable in her career and personal life. And today she's going to give us some insight on how you can utilize some of the basics in your day-to-day lives, not only professionally, but personally. So Ruth, thank you so much for being here today.
No, thank you. I enjoyed. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun.
Great. Is there anything I missed in that intro that you'd like to share with the audience?
No, I think you said more than you should have, but thank you. I appreciate those kind words. I appreciate it, my friend.
That's what you paid me to say. So, all right, well, let's just get right into it. I think we have some slides, but we're going to get to those in a little bit, right? So you just let me know when you're ready for me to share those.
Okay.
Okay. So,
all right.
Yes, why don't you just tell us a little bit about the program you completed and why it was of interest to you?
Well, back in 2010, we had an opportunity. We went to Texas to a conference. My friend and fellow PI and process server, Audra Coleman, was accompanying me. It was one of the largest conferences we'd been to in a long time, and it was lots of breakouts, a lot of education. It was great. But that is where we met Mac Fulfer, who is the face reading extraordinaire. He's, I've never met anybody quite like him. But he was teaching a class. Audra got the opportunity to go and see the class, and I was in another breakout class. But after he came out into the foyer, he read Audra's face. Audra and I have been friends for a long, long time, and she has, I know her very well. And he nailed it. He caught it perfect. I've never seen, I was really amazed. So I asked him to read my face. And he really, I knew then that this was going to be what I wanted to know. I wanted to know more about face reading. I wanted to be able to do this in my life and in my profession. Mm-hmm. And it's been wonderful. So that was how we sort of got involved and started, and we've continued our friendship since we've become certified face readers, and it'll change your life. It is absolutely life-changing. It'll make you look at people different, situations different, and it'll give you a lot more understanding of humankind. Just it'll really make a big difference in your life. For sure.
Yeah, I bet it sounds like a pretty powerful tool to have in your arsenal, especially in the world that we're in the process serving and investigation world. Why don't we just get into that? So what exactly is face reading, and how can it be used in those professions?
Well, face reading is our first language. The brain is hardwired to our face, and through these connections, our face records our life experiences and reactions. And even though some may learn to hide their feelings under that poker face, there's no doubt our moods will affect our appearances. So face reading is the art and the science of understanding deception and deciphering the connection and reading the expressions marked on the face. I think when I first got into this, it was extremely overwhelming. Everything on your face tells your life story. Mm-hmm. And on our certification class, we had to bring pictures of us when we were very young, 8 years later, and then on into our adulthood. And it was really interesting to see how much my face had changed over those years, and what my life experiences and the traumas that I've had to experience through a family member. And it was amazing. I guess that's where it gets its name, amazing face reading. But people don't look at people anymore. People don't connect with people anymore. We're in a mobile society. So we've got to start stopping and looking at people. We pass people every day and don't engage them. We don't have any contact. We don't look at them. Times are changing. I don't know that they would, though. I don't.
That's interesting. That's something that we really talked about leading up to this, but if people aren't connecting and looking at each other the way that they used to, how is that changing, I guess, our appearance and our facial expressions? Is it making it more difficult to read people's faces?
Well, most people don't understand what to look for. That's why I was so intrigued by trying. I mean, Audra and I are the only two that I know of in North Carolina that are certified face readers. Mm-hmm. We get called to do and to read faces, but what has interested me the most, I have a daughter with a disability, mm-hmm. and it's difficult for her to communicate. And I have found a real niche in that arena, people that cannot communicate very well. You can find on their face the things that are going to make them open up a little bit more, either on their keyboard to be able to communicate or something. And some of them can talk. Some of the folks that I have learned to communicate with have learned to talk a little bit more. They just didn't talk before because nobody listened. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of avenues out here, right. Not just in the professional world, that we all need to pay attention. We all need to slow down a little bit. Things are getting faster and faster, and We've got to, if we're going to stay in the game and we're going to try to make a difference, we're going to have to slow down and stop and look. There's a lot of applications for face reading. Jury selection, that's what Mac did. He was an attorney prior to becoming a certified face reading instructor. And he used it for picking juries. And then he completely got out of attorney work because the face reading was so intriguing to him and he liked it so much. So, and interviewing and understanding coworkers and family and children, business and personal relationships, understanding nonverbal communication, and left and right brain function. All of this there is so much to know and to learn and but if you take one little nugget at a time and work on it, you will start seeing that it will change your life and you'll change other people's lives by doing this. I would advise anybody that's wanting to improve themselves and improve their lot in life to, if you don't do it professionally, do it for your own personal needs. I think the world needs a little more face reading for sure.
If you don't mind, if this is a good time, can we talk a little bit about how you've been able to use face reading as a PI, as a process server? Can you give us some examples and maybe some practical tips as well?
Certainly, I'll give you a couple of really good examples. A lot of our clients give us information that is sometimes not quite correct, or there's too many emotions involved, especially if it's not coming from the attorney or if it's coming through the client to the attorney and they're passing it on that way. What we need to do is try to keep all of that noise out and think about what's the best way to approach somebody. What I want to know is about the person that I'm going to serve or I'm doing an investigation on as much as possible. And a good example that happened not too long ago with me, and as I was serving papers, this guy was supposed to have been very violent, which gave me some concern, but I also know that I have got control over me and I've got to put this into perspective so that I can help possibly get the job done, uneventful, and leave. That's my task at hand. Well, I got there and he was a big guy, a very big guy. And I went to the door and knocked. He jerked the door open and I immediately read his face. He had this look about him that he was very angry. I immediately started talking about something else. There was something in his yard that I asked who had planted these flowers, and I was going on and on about it. And he went down and diffused because he was a kind heart. I could tell, I mean, from his eyebrows and his nose, and he had a Santa Claus kind of beard like you do, Trent. And he was not harmful. I think maybe there'd been some bad situations in his life, but with me, he just became a teddy bear. We were able to correspond with each other for a little bit. I explained that I had some documents for him that needed to get them to him. It was important, and he was very obliging. But you've got to be prepared, and don't just grab these papers and go and serve them. Try to get a little bit of information. Try to know a little bit about who you're going to serve, or at least go with your best foot forward and try to be understanding. But that's why face reading to me is very valuable. It will put you in a place where you will be able to immediately evaluate real quickly what you're seeing and move on. And it worked out real well. In an investigation, I was trying to find out if some information, and was at a restaurant, and the person was there with the paramour. And anyway, I watched her for a while. And anyway, she went to the ladies' room and I went to the ladies' room, and I engaged her in the ladies' room, and I knew how to get to her. She had healer cheeks, which is what I do. I have healer cheeks, according to Mac. And she's kind. She was a kind heart. She just had had enough of the relationship she was in. So I engaged her, found out some information. It helped with the investigation. I was not pretexting her at all. I was just trying to get information, and I did. But there's a lot of applications for this, an awful lot. You've just got to, there's so much to learn. It's a constant process, but you've got to practice, practice, practice. It's just like a foreign language. You've got to practice it to get it down pat and make it perfect. And I'm now even still don't have it all like I'd like it. I'm working on it every day.
Right. So on the job, I assume you're looking for signs of, you mentioned aggression, you're looking for signs of deception, and I imagine a multitude of other things. Are there examples or things that our audience can look for in these? I mean, just as kind of a taste of what face reading is all about, and what are some things that they should be looking for?
Well, there's so many things. There really are. I will give you a little sample, okay, because there is so many.
Right.
A talker, someone that's, or I don't know. Let me skip down here. A risk taker. Gap between their front teeth.
Huh.
They are willing to take calculated risk and play the odds. They have gumption. Good example of that is Michael Strahan. And if you think about it, it fits him to a T. He's a doer. He makes things happen. He's got lots of gumption. He steps up. He goes outside the comfort zone sometimes and plays it well. Hard workers, small nose. These folks would rather do to themselves than to have to explain to someone else how to do what they want done.
Interesting. Wow.
There's an awful lot. Sensitivity, logic, straight or angle, back forward, forehead, angled eyebrows, large outer ear cups here, or our left brain is where our logic is. See, when you're looking at someone, their right side is their personal side. So, and their left side is their business side. So what you're looking for is, if the right side, you can see things like compassion lines, see survivor lines, stress, mental lines. There is just, and then it goes on and on and on. The shape of your head, how your ears are placed. It really helps, but you've got to constantly stay in tune with it. But it will change the way you look at everybody. It will change the way you feel about things too. And it'll give you a little bit more patience, because I think before, like I said earlier, we're all in such a hurry. We don't look at anybody anymore. We just pass by. We're in a hurry. We're doing this. We're on the phone. We're in the car. We're busy. But if you slow down just a little bit, take time to look at your children, take time to look at your parents, your coworkers, I think you may see some things that might change the way either you react to their responses, or I think most of the people in this world are caring people. I just think we've gotten off track. And I think if we stop just a little bit and move forward and do more face reading, I think that would make a difference in this world. Right. So
that's interesting. I mean, when we started, what I thought we'd be talking about mostly was in the moment, what someone's thinking or feeling, or, not necessarily who that person is and their history. So I find that really interesting. We actually have a question from someone in the audience. They want to know what is a telltale sign that someone is lying?
Deception. Okay. Deception in face reading is there is a flap in your eyebrows, and not your eyebrows, but right in here.
Right.
It's your upper puff. It's called your eye puff. That will show that they can be deceptive. Now, is it going to show if they are deceptive? No. Depends on the moment. It depends on what's going on at that particular time.
Interesting.
I hope I answered that question.
It sounds like it's probably changed your view of the world and people in general, maybe even people you've known for a really long time.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into body language. What can body language tell us, and how can our audience apply that to their profession?
Well, everybody has body language. They either use their hands, they move their head, or their speech. They bite their lip, they cross their arms, they're defensive. There's an awful lot of body language too. I think there's about 75 body language movements, I think, is the total that if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That at any given time, some people are very touchy, some people aren't. Some people want their space. Some people also want to control the situation, whether it's a group or it's just one-on-one. Your body language is going to let people know if you're going to back up, or you're going to move on, or if you're sitting and you cross your legs. There's an awful lot, like I said, 75 different motions and movements and stances and speeches identify body language.
Mm-hmm.
But it's ongoing. And there's variations on that. It's not just a cut and dry, just like face reading. It's something that you learn and you continue to learn, and then you learn some more, and then you work on what you're doing. But it's a wonderful thing that we all can come together and do things like this. And I hope that the people that are listening to this will work toward making things better by doing more of just what we're trying to do here today.
Do you have any kind of practical examples in the field as a PI or a process server where you've utilized body language, or are there things that you look for?
Well, process serving, it's just most people, you give them as much space as possible. Mm-hmm. I try to be gentle in my verbiage, and that is another thing. Body language can be how you speak to someone and how you react to their speech. But I think I utilize all of the skills I've got in everything that I do now, and I think I'm going to probably continue that as long as I'm on this earth, because it seems to have made a big difference. I evaluate my day at the end of the day, and I find that it works, and I'm very thankful for that. So, but as far as one particular thing or two, no, everything is always changing. There's just so much, but people aren't paying attention. They're not looking at what's going on. They're missing an awful lot because they're not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's has a lot to do with why a lot of divorces and people are getting relationships that they really shouldn't be in, make bad business decisions. We're going so fast. We need to slow down and reevaluate what's going on in this world.
Is there anything that when you see in someone's body language that can raise alarms in the way of aggression or deception? Anything specific or?
In body language, no, but in face reading, there is, if the whites of your eyes are very visible, or if your eyes are so, I don't know what the proper word is, but if it's just so, all you can see is the eye itself, they're on the verge of something very terrible, some form of violence or some form of terror. I was looking at a picture and I almost used it, but I decided not because I don't know if the young man is still, but the gentleman that killed all those folks in Charleston, I was looking at a picture of him and he's disconnected. He doesn't have a true sense of propriety with anybody or anything. Yeah. So these are the things you have to look for, and a lot of it's in the eyes, definitely in the eyes.
I remember that photo. I think it was pretty similar to the photo of the guy who did the theater shooting here in Aurora, Colorado too. I think they both kind of had a very similar look about them, especially in the eyes. Interesting. Yeah. Got a couple comments. I'll share those in a moment when we're wrapping things up. So, yeah, go for it.
Oh, would you like to do, since we're wanting to see some visual, maybe this would assist the ones that are watching, if we could do the slides that I brought down, and I will sort of explain a little bit about each one as we go through.
Yep. Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah, I see it.
All right.
Okay, I guess everybody knows who this is. This is our president. The bushy eyebrows is nonstop thinking, intellect. He's constantly, his brain is going 90 miles an hour. The low brow is mentally quick. Do it now. See how his eyes are it's just almost like a slant. Bottom lid straight, guarded, screens out information. And the two lines in his forehead, those are called forced focus lines. And he's focused on being exact and right. And I didn't read his whole face because as we go through these, a lot of it's redundant. And I didn't want you to think that I was just picking ones, but the reason I picked these folks, these pictures of these folks, is these are the players. These are the ones that are making the decisions. These are the ones that are making the money. These are the ones that are taking and doing, and they're in the world's eye, or were. So I think you'll see as we go along, but it's interesting, and you may want to look and see yourself. Look in your mirror and think about things. And before we go off, I've got one more picture that I didn't add that I'm gonna have you look at, and I'm gonna leave you with that thought too. But yeah, that's what I see in President Donald Trump.
Okay. You want me to go to the next one?
Yes, please. This is Tim Cook. This is the Apple man, as you can tell. And he's got moderate eye puffs, which is above, which means he's extremely focused and ignores his own needs. He gives away more energy than he receives. Now, as I'm going through this and explaining these, I want you to think about the people that may have these features. It may assist you in the future. His forehead is straight. He has linear thinking. He thinks in a logical step-by-step process. And if you think about what he does, that just makes good sense. Most people that are successful reach out to the things that they can do the best. And he certainly did. He certainly did. Strength is when you learn something you retained. Scattered eyebrows, he's a curious mind, and he's got a broad focus. And Trent, we can go to the next one.
Yeah.
And that is Warren Buffett. He's one of the power players. His eyebrows are even flow of thought, attention to details, and I'm sure that he is. Round, full forehead, he has an imagination, and he dislikes rigid systems. Bottom lid straight across, extremely loyal. Screams out information. For all the decisions that Mr. Buffett makes, I'm sure this has got to be true. Just got to be. His nose is wide at the bottom. It means he supports and is willing to share. His mouth is straight. Objective, reflective listener. And I'm sure he has to do that to be where he is too. Like I said, think about what I'm saying and think about the look on these folks. And I didn't pick up all of the things I could have. His ears, that there's a lot of things there to see. All right, let's go to the next one. This is a good one. He's sort of new on the scene, but he is really a mover and a shaker. This is Steve Bannon. He's in the Trump camp, and he has the disappointment lines, more on the personal side. So he's had some real life experiences. His burnout line across his nose bridge here, he's overly responsible. Straight chin, he's motivated by causes and ideas, and idealistically focus on getting the job done. The flaring nostrils, he's self-confident and extravagant. The tangled eyebrows attracts conflict, unconventional thinker. Now, I don't know much about Mr. Bannon, but I do know that he is, he's got the president's ear. And these are the things we all need to know. We need to look at everybody like we're looking at these pictures and think about the best and the worst in them. We all have it. But these are things that can be corrected, they can be changed. It's just something that we've got to look a little bit closer at, I believe. Okay, Trent?
Next one.
Yes, This is Mr. Bill Gates. He has a low brow. He's mentally quick. His eyes, there's no angle to his eyes. He has a balanced view and he's objective. Large nostril, he's very creative. And he's got that freight train line in between his head and in here. Let nothing stand in the way. He's a doer. He gets things done. And he certainly does that by his accomplishments and by his philanthropy. He's certainly a man with the drive and a mission, for sure. Okay.
Next one.
Yes, please. And this is Steve Jobs. He's got very large iris visible. He's experimental. Facial domination, large middle of the face. If you can look at it, you can see the whole middle of his face is larger than the rest. He's ambitious and appreciates quality. The round beard, he's concerned for others. I hate that he had to leave so soon because he really brought an awful lot to the tech industry and I think to the world. I think he was, I think he had a mission. He just had to go too soon. But I know we see people like this or that may not look like him, but may have some of these traits. Remember them, and I think it'll change the way you look at people. I know it will. It did me.
Keep going.
Okay, yep, got a couple more. This is Michelle Obama, as if you didn't know. Michelle's got healer cheeks. She's uplifting presence. She makes people feel better. She's got support lines to lift people up. She's got a strong chin, motivated by causes. And I think when you stop and think about the person that we're talking about and what I'm reading on the face, it matches to a T almost. Mm-hmm. The curved eyebrows, she's open and receptive. She has a positive outlook. You know people like this. You know people that may have these features. You'll be looking at them in a different way. I promise you. It'll make a big difference. Okay, next. Now, this is Vladimir Putin. A has very thin lips, which means he's cool, calculating disposition, reserved and cautious, and does not trust easily. Thin eyelids. He can act independently. Forehead, mental lines means he's worked hard to achieve his intelligence. Depending on the lines, which way they go, some of them go this way, some go this way. You've got burnout lines, you've got compassion lines on your face. And the deeper they are, the more entrenched and the more they earned every one of those. But these people are the people that are making decisions in our world now. Or some of them are anyway. And we need to pay attention to this. When you see these folks on TV, look at their face. Sort of memorize it a little bit. It may make a big difference in how you think about things. I know it will. I know it will. The more pronounced the reading, be sure to think which side of the face it's on. The right side, I said before, is your personal side. Your left side is your business or your outer world side. So these are the pictures I wanted to share with you. Okay. To give you some food for thought, give you some examples, and hopefully make you look at people a little bit different. I'm more prone on the face reading side than I am on the body language, but I think they go together. I think one complements the other, but I see more results on the face reading side than I do on the body language. It just helps me to sort of maybe put it all together, I guess is the best way to put that. Just put it all together.
So, I mean, we've talked mostly about reading others' facial expressions and body language. Is your own anything that can be manipulated, for your advantage in any way, or are we just are who we are?
No, that's a good question, Trent. At one of our classes, someone brought up the fact that women that get Botox, and men too, get Botox to change the wrinkles and the lines and all of that in their face. But they don't, that's temporary. That's very temporary. And if you really look at a person, you're going to see, even maybe they had deep lines, they're still going to have some sort of remnants of that line. It's not going to go away. This is a picture of their life. Their face is their life. So you can't erase that. You can't erase it. You can change it a little bit. You can have plastic surgery. You can do all these other things, but time will, it will bring itself back up. It won't go away. It just won't go away.
Yeah. You've already kind of impressed the importance of paying attention, looking at people, absorbing that, understanding, what it is that you're seeing. But I thought it'd be interesting to share some data that I found in an article and kind of leading up, prepping for this conversation. And it said that only 7% of communication is based on the actual words we say. 38% comes from tone of voice, and the remaining 55% comes from body language. This was a UCLA study that I saw in an article earlier today. So knowing this, how important is it to get as much face time with clients, interviewees, and others you come in contact with in your profession or in general?
Well, anybody can portray themselves with their body language in a way that they might not with their face.
Right.
The face will not lie to you. It's not going, what is there is there. It's going to tell you whether they're communicators or whether they are deceptors, or those are the things that I look for. I mean, I've talked to professionals and corporate heads that are just absolutely best body language I've ever seen. Their face told me another story. So I'm not sure about those statistics, but I do know the practice of face reading and reading someone's face versus body language. I'll take the face reading first and then implement the body language second, for sure, every time.
Very cool. We're getting pretty close to wrapping it up. I know you wanted to share some resources with us. Before you do that, I just wanted to point out Marshall, who's one of our participants, said that there's some pretty good books out there. Maybe you have some books you could recommend as well. He said there's a book called You Can't Lie to Me by Janine Driver. Winning Body Language by Mark Budin. And yeah, those are the only two. So I don't know if you have any resources on top of what you're about to share with us as well.
Well, I have one to add to the body language, and that would be Jan Hargraves. And I've seen her do several presentations. She's extremely gifted and talented. She has several books out, and I would highly recommend if they have those books, I have those books too that you just named. But I think that if they get Jan's book, I think they will see there's some real interesting data there for them, for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, so why don't you go? I know you have something that you want to share and read to us, so go for it.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm going to read this. Being a certified face reader, every quarter we get a newsletter from Mac Fulfer. And Mac has some interesting things that he always shares with us. New things that he has found, and he says he's constantly finding new things. And he always shares it with us. The certification class that I went to before was, there were people from all over the country. A lot of them, it was from Texas because the class was held in Texas. But there was people from Maine, Denmark, North Carolina. And it's an opportunity to get to know people and different occupations. There was an FBI agent. There were clinical people. I mean, it was extremely good. But I'm going to share something with you, and I want you to take this. I thought it was very important. I read it, and I read it again, and I woke up this morning, and it just resonated with me, and I wanted to share it. So if you'll be patient with me, I'll try to get through this. I must confess that every time I read a newspaper or watch the news, I am shocked and saddened by how quickly we are ready to pass judgment on others. We seem to be sliding into a world governed by the politics of fear, where we are constantly reminded of the dangers we face from anyone not like us. The theme is one of division: black versus white, rich versus poor, old versus young, gay versus straight, capitalist versus socialist, immigrants versus non-immigrants, Christians versus Muslims. We're programmed to fear aliens, terrorists, communists, liberals, religious radicals, identity thieves, sexual predators, and serial killers, with an urgency that would imply that they have taken over the world. Even our own political arena is divided into rigid, intolerant camps of thought and values, where members of the opposite party are seen more as enemies than fellow collaborators, working for the good of all the people. This type of thinking produces sweeping generalizations, where entire groups of people are labeled and judged with an assumption that one size fits all. Fortunately, that is not true. The truth is that we are all unique, and any attempt to stereotype humans into rigid, defined categories will always miss the mark. If you have ever been misjudged, excluded, or felt discriminated, you know how painful it feels and how often fuels an almost immediate reaction that perpetuates the cycle of bias and bigotry. We have to ask ourselves how this can happen. How can we be frightened into losing our empathy and compassion for our fellow man? One of the reasons we are so quick to believe what we are told is that we lack the tools to make assessments of one another for ourselves. How can we know what our neighbor is really like? How can we trust if someone is telling us the truth? Unfortunately, as a society, we are losing our ability to assess one another as we retreat into our internal world. It is predicted that in the near future, almost everyone on the planet will have a cell phone or a mobile data device. This will certainly increase our ability to connect with other electronical, but diminish our personal FaceTime. Today in public, we hardly look at one another, and with the advent of self-checkout counters, we can shop in stores crammed with people without saying a word to anybody. We see other people, but we don't take the time to really look at them. What is even worse, without practice, we quickly lose our ability to read others and retreat into an unspoken attitude of stranger danger and avoid them altogether. What we all need, including our children, is the ability to quickly and accurately assess and evaluate every person we meet on an individual basis, rather than applying misguided stereotype that creates fear and division. Face reading provides, and it is something that even a child can learn. Face reading gives us an immediate awareness of the underlying character and personality of the other person. It also lets us evaluate the other person in our interaction with them to read their unspoken intent or deception as they occur. More importantly, when we can read the life story written on every face, people become more interesting and we want to interact with them. Knowledge will always trump fear as a paradigm for relationships, and having the ability to accurately see and understand one another, including the politicians whom we elect, can prevent us from falling victim to propaganda of fear used to manipulate our beliefs and actions. Without compassion, we lose our humanity. And thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Very, very powerful stuff there. We are pretty close to wrapping it up. There is a question. It starts with, "Hi Ruth, it's Barb Brownbeller." I hope I said that remotely.
Oh, yes. All right.
It's so good to see you. Are there any classes in face reading in South or North Carolina?
Yes. There are, Audra Coleman and I both put on face reading classes. We are both certified through the North Carolina Private Protective Services Board, which is the governing body for private investigators, security guards, and I'm trying to think of the other one, counterintelligence, sorry. But yes, at this time, I don't have a class scheduled. I don't know about Audra, but I would say get a hold of one of us and we will be glad to. And we do travel. We do travel. We like to travel. So
How would you like folks to get in touch with you?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Trent.
How would you like folks to get in touch with you if they have questions or want to attend one of your classes?
They can go to my website. I'm listed with ServeNow, and and would love to do what we can to help. I do some pro bono stuff for associations. So if you have an association and you want us involved with it, please give us a call, or we're glad to do what we can to help.
Great. And just so everyone knows, when we post this video to our website, we will include a link to Ruth's website. So you'll be able to email her or give her a call from her site. Barb also said everyone should hear what you just read. Couldn't agree more. And Elizabeth Smith says, "Love you, Ruth. Thanks for this webinar." And I think that's a good way to wrap this up. So thank you, Ruth, so much for being here today. This is super interesting stuff, and completely agree with everything that you shared and read. And I think it's important for us to do a better job of connecting with one another, even complete strangers.
Glad to come back anytime. Let me know.
All right, sounds good. As a reminder, we'll try to get this recording online on our website tomorrow. Anyone who's registered will also be receiving a link reminder that it is online. And remember to subscribe to ServeNow EDU on YouTube or iTunes, and we will see you next month. Ruth, thank you again. Great seeing you.
Thank you. Good to see everybody.
All right,
Well wishes.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.